Hello, middle-aged gamers, and welcome to this week Middle-aged Gaming Show. We hope you had a very good week and you are ready for the great week of news. But before that, we just want to thank you very much, because thanks to you, we have enough subscribers and view time to apply for the YouTube Partner Program. So that's all thanks to you. Thank you very much for liking, sharing, and commenting on our videos. Please keep giving us your strength, and who knows, we'll still be there in 4 years. Yeah, because it has already been 4 years. So always better late than never. So thank you very much.
And he freezes.
Today. Yeah.
So we can hear him.
And I'm apparently...
Okay.
Fantastic. So you can hear me, but I'm not moving. So I'm gonna start making funny poses. And with all of this, Krian, what is your first story of the day?
Thank you, Antoine. My first story for today is gonna be this. Let me think of what my book is. I already forgot what I was gonna say. Middle-aged gamers, are you looking for good gaming suggestions? Well, today, thanks to Metacritic, we have a list of the top 10 games so far in 2024, as averaged out by all the various critical publications, Nintendo Live. This is just for the Switch, so keep that in mind. And let's talk about some of the games. Some of the games Adam and Antoine will be able to talk about a bit more, just because while I'll be familiar with the franchise, I didn't get into playing Nintendo until the late 2010 or something along that line. So number one is Castlevania, which didn't catch me by surprise because that's such a huge franchise. The Netflix show is super, super popular. Lots of people were disappointed when Netflix said, no, we're not making this anime anymore. The games, of course, did really well on the Switch. So again, this is not 100% a surprise to me, because people love the franchise, especially middle-aged gamers who grew up with Castlevania in the 90s, or I think it is the 90s for the first Castlevania games. Number two is Pentiment. Pentiment is a game, again, another very beautiful art style game. This is a game I bought, and I played it for like an hour, and then I didn't play it again. And don't let that turn you away. But it was just because this was more along the lines of Disco Elysium, in the sense of like, it was very, very text heavy. And at that point, like, I have to be in a mood to want to read stuff, which is very rare these days, if it's not the news or about business or something, because of work. So if you're in the mood for a text-heavy game, Pentiment is there, and it looks great, and it's set in like this medieval universe. There's supposed to be some sort of interesting mechanics in there, but it's definitely very much a reading game. It's also very much one of those games where you want to play on a TV rather than in handheld mode, because it is a lot of text. And the Switch OLED will probably make that a lot better, but if you have an older Switch like I do, yeah, it is probably not a great suggestion for that. Number three was, or not necessarily number three, but the other game that caught my attention was Balatro. Balatro, a very, very famous card game, just using a standard 52 card deck, but they had some really cool mechanics that people were really excited about. There's a lot of betting. It has like a rogue-alike element. This is on my list of things to play at some point, because people were playing this until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when it first came out. So definitely a game for you to consider. Another game is Unicorn Overlord, again in the top 10. Unicorn Overlord, I believe Antoine talked about this at some point, or Adam, or both of you. Again, I know nothing about Unicorn Overlord and its relation to previous games. I did watch a bunch of reviews about this because I was like, oh man, this looks like a really cool game. I want to buy it. And again, people were like, yes, great art, great story, great combat, which is something I always like as well. But again, it is one of those like first party titles. So you're going to be paying $60 to $70 depending where you live, if it's not on sale at the moment. The next game, Prince of Persia, another game I played for just an hour before I got distracted by something else. But again, this is the one that came out earlier this year. This is one of the games that Ubisoft, spent a lot of time on. Go back to last week's story where I talked about Ubisoft being private, and they were like, yes, we're going to change the Prince of Persia formula. It's not going to be like the Sands of Time, and it is going to sell well. And it was critically reviewed. Everyone loved it, but not many players bought it. And so in Ubisoft's eyes and their shareholders' eyes, this was a failure. And this has contributed to, some of the sort of turmoil that's going on inside the company at the moment. But again, really wonderful game. I had nothing bad to say about it. Again, it was just me being distracted, me wanting to play other stuff, me not being in the mood for that kind of game. But it was fun. It was not too difficult. And with later patches, right, this game has like a difficulty slider now after like patch 1.4, 1.5. So if you're not good, and it'll increase the time for you making jumps, right, because there is a lot of moving in the air and dodging stuff. So it does make the game easier. So if you're one of those people like me who are like, oh my God, I don't like hard games, right now it actually can be pretty easy. The last two I'll talk about really quickly is Paper Mario, the 1000-Year Door. Paper Mario, the Paper King or the Something King or the Something King game. That was also a really good game. People liked it, but it was not really well liked because the mechanics were kind of weird. But this was a game where like this is coming back to form for a Paper Mario game. Again, another expensive game, but if you really like the art style, like I love the Paper Mario art style, so if I see this game on sale somewhere, if I go to Korea on Thursday, I'm going to be buying that. And the last game is Cat Quest 3, which I played Cat Quest 1 on my iPad, and that was a really cool game if you're into animals, if you're into cats. It just looks cute. It's actually not like a really complicated game. It reminded me of that Zelda ripoff on the iPad. I can't remember what the name was, but yeah, very simple RPG, definitely meant for your preteens or younger kids. Not very complicated. It's still got dodge and roll mechanics, fighting and slashing, and through the Cat Quest is just sort of expanded the mechanics in some ways. But a really cool list of games. Check them out if you haven't had a chance to check them out. If you're looking for game ideas, I'll make sure the link to the full list is down in the show notes. Some really good suggestions here for a wide variety of players, and let me know what you think.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna go with this. It's just, I'm gonna sound like a terrible boomer there, but I don't think it's possible for kids, for younger players these days, to understand that we grew up in a world where you had 1997, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, 98, Zelda Ocarina of Time. I mean, like every year you had these legendary games coming out, which was revolutioning the industry. It's crazy when, like these days we're like, AAA Star Wars game. When we were young, would have killed for those kind of games. So yeah, thanks for the little trip back in time. That was nice.
I feel like there was probably less variety than there is now. I mean, gaming's a much bigger industry now than it ever was, especially on PC. I mean, there's a lot more competition now. Back then, it's and then also too, like there was no digital distribution.
No.
The only way you were ever going to find out about a game was if you read about it in a magazine, or if or possibly word of mouth. But now, I mean, it's just super easy to get. There's tons of aggregate sites. I mean, we're doing it, right? There's tons of people out there telling you, oh, here's some great indies and stuff that you should play. Back then it was, everything was, it was very hard to find, these, something a little more obscure because, there just wasn't that much, there wasn't that much out there that many places where you could go to find out about games. So you were probably looking at Nintendo Power or, was it, Game Pro or something like that, and so they were always advertising, the big games that are coming out. So it might have felt like there were more, but there's definitely, I mean, just this year alone, I mean, we have Final Fantasy VII Remake, we've had Stellar Blade, now Astro's Playroom, people are all up about, Black Myth Wukong. There's been plenty of big games that when people, when they come out, everyone's like, oh my God, this is the biggest thing. Was Palworld this year? Or was it last year? Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely tons of games out there that are coming out where people are like, oh my God, this is the next huge thing. But I mean, there's just so much small stuff in between too that maybe it just feels like back then it was just banger after banger, when in reality it was just that's all there was. There was nothing in between. So
yeah, but that's the thing. Everybody, you had to invent everything, which is cool.
Yeah.
And we were not too demanding because we didn't have anything or didn't have much.
No, we weren't spoiled for choice like we are now.
Yeah, true.
And if a game had glitches, it was always going to have glitches. So they had to get it right the first time. And if they didn't, we lived with it and we loved it.
Absolutely. All right, so I should go to Adam for his first story, but the fact is, the first story is joint with mine, so I'm gonna start, and we could probably gonna have the long segment. But yeah, let's start with this. So yeah, Screen told me to take make a hook for the video. I'm gonna try to do it when my screen freezes, so that's gonna be fun. If it's crazy, if it is for you, basically, you know, just we had some problem with Squadcast. So if you see me or the guest freeze, that's not our fault. It's entirely Squadcast. You know, I'm rejecting the blame around that. Sorry. All right. So, Village Gamers, we gonna talk about Palworld and their brand new rebirth, if you call it, or burst, since they are in early access. All right, so you may have not known, but you know, like, of course, you know, I mean, Palworld has been released by or made by, distributed by Pocket Pair, right? It came out in January this year, so 2024, for PC and Xbox. And it has worked out like crazy. I think even Pocket Pair didn't realize what was coming to them with this. We talked, you know, about the top 10 Steam games last week, and Palworld was very well anchored in third or fourth place. Basically, it's crazy success of Palworld. So of course, they're not gonna stop there, right? So, and I'm gonna read my notes there. Palworld, Pocket Pair, is excited to announce a joint venture company with Sony Music Entertainment in Japan, and Aniplex. Aniplex, I think you would know this if you watch Crunchyroll. I think they are distributing animes, something like this, I believe. I think so. I might be wrong. You will tell me. To establish, so they created Palworld Entertainment for the purpose of accelerating the game. So accelerating the game, meaning, remember, they are in early access, and they said from the start, right, we're gonna be in early access for at least a year, so until January. And the fact that they signed with Sony means, of course, that they're gonna release for PS5 and PS5 Pro, maybe. Who cares? Who knows? I don't know. In any case, yes, there's gonna be a big news are coming for Palworld, especially that they are on the list of the Tokyo Game Show, which is gonna start at the end of the month. Sorry, I don't have the exact date, but I think it starts on 26th. So we know that big news are coming, right, for Palworld. And apparently their latest free DLC or free update that they had this year with the Japanese island, which I must have somewhere in my note, but I lost it. So who cares? Sakajima, something in this island, worked very well. So now they made a lot of money on PC and Xbox with an half-finished game. So now what we're waiting for is that they finish the game and release it to PS5. So there's, you know, I was watching on Game Rant and a few sites. Of course, as long as Pocket Pair doesn't tell us when they're gonna release and if they're gonna release on PS5, which is not really much of a suspense since they signed a deal with Sony, right? We don't know exactly what their plan is in terms of release. So there's basically two options, right? Either they do it still in early access and then you could have it as early as October. It's gonna be revealed during the Tokyo Game Show. Or, which is the most likely scenario, they wait until the game is fully complete and it's gonna be taken out of early access, and then you would have it on PS5, maybe PS5 Pro. I'm not even sure that the Pro would be very useful for a cartoony game, which would fit the Nintendo hardware more than, you know, a very powerful hardware like this. And then you would have it at best, let's say winter early 2025, like February at best, something like this. So yeah, so we are waiting for this now, and I know that someone told me that they're changing the business model. Maybe Adam, you want to tell us about this?
Sure. We can pop into my side of the story, I suppose. What was it? Pocket Pair came out, and in a recent interview that they did, there was some worry that maybe they were going to be changing up things in Palworld a little bit too much. So basically what they were saying is that they had looked at possible ways to change the kind of the model. And they were talking in-house about, hey, should we go games as a service? Should we go free to play? Should we do battle passes? How should we do this? And of course, when people read that interview, they were a little bit nervous. They're like, uh-oh, no, this is going into that whole games as a service thing. That's always bad news. This is not going to be a good thing. But after the interview, Palworld came out on Twitter and they said, hey, you know what? Yes, we did that interview. Yes, we said that. But what we were discussing what we had been considering, not what we're actually doing. So what we're actually doing is not that at all. So what they basically have decided to do is that they have decided to continue with the current, pay to play model. And they said that they do have plans for adding DLC and skins, which should help with the funding of the project to get it to release, because as of right now it is basically was it still in early access. So in order to get the game fully out, they do plan to release DLC and some skins, so those will probably be paid for, but they are not doing a games as a service and they are not doing free to play. And the reason why is because, as they said, that it would just be too much work at this point to switch the gaming model. We've already released the game. We've, had people pay for it. Changing the way that the game works is it just, we weren't planning that from the beginning. So coming up with like a season's pass and all that, that would just be, we'd have to do a whole overhaul on a bunch of stuff. It just wouldn't be worth it. Also, we know how people play. We know what people want. We know what our fans are expecting. And that's not what they want. They want just you pay your money, you get your game, you play it, and that's it. And so we respect that. If that's what the fans want, that's the kind of game that we need to be making. So they are not going to go free to play. They are not going to go as games as a service. This is just going to be your traditional game. You pay once, you play it as much as you want. Maybe there's some DLC and some extra stuff you can download, and you can pay for some skins or whatever, kind of like if I don't know, you want a cute little, I can't remember any of the things except for, I can't remember any of their names now, but you want a cute little thing with a hat on it. You can pay for that. So we are going to be seeing more Palworld in the future, but it's going to not be changing the model as it is. It's going to continue as it has, and that's actually a good thing, because a lot of people online, one of the biggest concerns was, hey, I already paid for this game. What happens to me if this game goes free to play? Like what kind of benefits is that going to get me? Do I get like a free, do I get like the first X many battle passes, free for, the equivalent value of the game? Or, how's that going to work? And well, now you don't have to worry about it, because it's not going to work, because that's not what they're going to do. So it's just going to continue on the way it is. So Palworld, as you like it, going to stay that way. So personally, I think that's good news. I need to get back into this game. I never finished it, not because I wasn't enjoying it or not because I wasn't having fun, but just because other stuff came up. And quite frankly, I was leveling up, in my opinion, way too slowly. I would be like, oh, hey, I unlocked this new thing. I build it. Okay, next thing's at 5 levels. Okay, well, I'm only 2 levels in, so I got another 3 levels. So let me just go out there and shoot a bunch of things until I can grind enough experience. So I know I can change the settings. You can change your experience gain to be much quicker. I think I need to do that. But I at some point I will go back and play, but not right now. So
I can tell you why I stopped it, because for me there's one major flaw at this time in Palworld. That there's 2 points in Palworld: collect the pals and base building, right? And the fact that you can't make, like the more you level up, the more base you can build. But I don't want one little base here and there, right? I want to build a massive castle. And the fact that you can't make the bases overlap to make a massive territory, I found it like at some point like, no, it doesn't work. So I have like 3 little bases which doesn't touch each other. And of course, I really need them to fix that for me. But that's funny because, you know, like the way you talk about the business model and all, it really feel a bit, you know, like in a totally different world, all right? But with us and our videos, because, you know, Pocket Bears, they made lots of video games before, which never really ramped up, you know, as much. And that's why they arrive with Palworld and they're like, nah, let's do the same as usual. And all of a sudden, pops, you know, they're racking the views and they're racking the, and they're like, oh my God, what do we do? All of a sudden, we have so much money, what's happening? And that's why they all of a sudden consider options they never considered before. And that's normal. You know, that's why I'm thinking about us, like sometimes we're like, this should make some views, and it doesn't make at all. And sometimes like, that should be fine, and then 10,000 views. Yeah, why? Why is the difference between this video and this video? You know, it's a bit, you know, like, you know, you roll the dice and it works. So, you know, that's the fun part. And it's good that they stay with the current model. And it's good that they focus on actually making the game better rather than making more money with a game which already brought them so much money and will even more in the future. So, with all that said, Korean, do you have an opinion on Palworld, or do you want to go straight into your second story? Okay, let's go to your second story then.
My second story. Gamers, are you looking for a roguelike FPS game? Did you play Void Bastards back in the day? Well, just so you know, this might have slipped directly under your radar, but we have a new game called Wild Bastards, which continues the Bastards theme or series. It is an interesting game. So if you've never heard of this game, Void Bastards was a game that came out quite a few years ago. It was this very like cartoony, cel-shaded, sort of like reminds me of Borderlands 1 sort of art style sort of game where you were in space, you'd go into these ships, you'd go and you'd like kill people, you'd eventually end up getting killed, and then you'd like restart over, you'd have some money, you'd get some upgrades, the typical sort of roguelike circle of life, for lack of a better phrase. The studio has done what I would consider an Endless Space. Like Endless Space 2 was super different from Endless Space 1 in the sense of like Void Bastards 1 had kind of a story, but Void Bastards, Wild Bastards has a story, like a Wild West sort of story. Endless Space 2 did the same thing. Endless Space 1 didn't have a story. In the new game, they had a story. So that's exactly what Wild Bastards did. I hate saying that word. So they basically, between Void Bastards and Wild Bastards, still feels so weird. They've expanded, they've had a story now, and the roguelikeness of the game, there's a reason why you keep dying and respawning and doing things all over again. They have mechanics, they have different characters. So it's basically like a Void Bastards 2.0 in a sense, right? Everything's been expanded. There are more things to do. So there's a campaign mode that, you know, there's more story and things to draw you in here, and there's more things to shoot, but the shooting is the thing that I think was the, like watching the videos, watching the trailers, again, I haven't had a chance to play this. On my list of things to play, it is also on all platforms at the moment, but the old game, the shooting was quite difficult. This definitely seems to be more of like a Quake style or a Doom style sort of shooting, where if you watch the trailer that I shared with Adam, you know, there's a guy and he's just shooting stuff repeatedly. Like in the first game, you had to be really careful with ammo because you'd run out of ammo and be like, oh God, all these guys are shooting at me and I have to swing a metal pipe or have to swing like this weird space age battle axe, right? So this is a game that's, again, recently came out probably like a week ago. It hasn't received enough attention. I just wanted to highlight it for people who are looking for something different, looking for something affordable. It just looks good. And it's something that you can buy and keep in the back of your huge gaming backlog, and then play it at some point when you're looking for some action, because it does have a lot of replayability. I can't talk today. There's like in the old game, there was just one character. Now you have like a choice of 4 characters, or no, 13 characters. I'm wrong. So there's lots of, and each character has their own way of fighting, and each sort of benefits and negative sides of things. So this is a game where, you know, a lot of people like to play this sort of game where you want to like min-max everything or get all the achievements and stuff, and this will allow you to do that because there's so many characters and so many ways of playing it, and so many achievements that say, hey, use this and this character to accomplish this mission. So check out Wild Bastards and let me know what you think besides the rarely terrible name.
Is that, sorry, did you say Nintendo only or what?
No, every platform.
Every platform.
Yes.
I'm gonna check that out.
And on with the show, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Adam, a reaction? Are you good with this? Are you planning to check it out as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's the art style with the kind of like two-dimensional characters, like the classic kind of Doom. I don't know. It makes it look a little bit less like a shooter to me and more like a shooting gallery, if that makes any sense, you know? Because especially like the way they do the intro where he's walking down the street and it pans left, it pans right. This guy pops out. He's just standing there. He shoots him. Walks a little bit further. Pans up. Shoots the guy on the roof. So I'm like, is this actually like a full shooter where you can run around and everything, or is this more like a rail shooter?
It's a full shooter. That's just the trailer.
Okay, so I was like, yeah, looking at that, I'm like, I'm not sure that's for me, but okay.
Yeah, rail shooter in 2024 wouldn't work much. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Korean, for this great story. Let's continue with you, Adam. Second story of the day.
Okay, so for me, second story of today, apparently, according to our YouTube analytics, it looks like a lot of you guys want to know what to play on PlayStation. So I'm here to tell you that what you can play coming up is going to be Remnant II DLC. I forgot what it's called. It's called The Dark Horizon. So Remnant 2, if you haven't played it, is... Some people describe it as a Souls-like with guns. I don't know if that's entirely an accurate way to say it. A lot of people say that's just kind of like, that's the closest you can get. Other people say it's kind of like a looter shooter, but it's a little bit different because in, say, something like Borderlands or Destiny, you're always, killing enemies so that you get better drops. And then when you get better drops, you get better weapons. And this one, that's why people call it a Souls-like, is because you'll find a weapon either by killing a boss or, you find it somewhere on the map. And then what you do is you can get that weapon, you can upgrade that weapon, make it stronger. But they're unique. They're not, random drops. So that's the kind of game you're looking at here. But yeah, so this is the third DLC. It comes after the Awakened King and the Forgotten Kingdom. And if you have the Ultimate Edition, you can get it for free. Otherwise, it's $10 US. So, apparently I downloaded this game, or I didn't download it. I bought this game a while ago. My friends and I, we were like, hey, you know what? We should play Remnant 2. That sounds like a lot of fun. And I was like, yeah. And it was on sale and I bought it. And then I was looking at this and I was like, oh, cool. So I went back and I looked at it and I was like, wait a second. Why do I have the first two DLC? I didn't buy the first two DLC. Apparently, when I got it on sale, I got the Ultimate Edition on sale, which was cheaper than the basic edition. So now I have all three DLC, or I will have all three DLC once this one releases. It does release on September 24th, so that's a few days away. This sometime in the upcoming week. So, but it's got a bunch of new stuff. So one of the things that it has is obviously new dungeons, new storyline, new area. It's going to have new enemies. It's going to have new weapons. Those are things that, everybody expects. It's not surprising to anybody. But it is going to be adding a glider traversal system. So I have no idea how that's going to work. I don't know if that's going to be like a Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild kind of thing or what. But yeah, they're going to have glider traversal somehow. So that's going to be added in. They're also adding a new archetype, which is basically the character that you're getting, so you can get the different kinds of characters, different classes. So this archetype is called the Warden, and it has a fully automated drone, which can shield, heal, or even attack enemies. So now you're going to have a little drone following you around, helping you out with this new class type. So, if you were getting bored of the old ones, then definitely come out and check this new one out. But at the same time, even if you don't get the DLC, there is still a free update coming with the game. So, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze here. No, I'm good. All right, so with this free new update, they are adding a boss rush mode. So you can go through and just play all the bosses, have fun with that. Similar to what Stellar Blade recently added just a few months ago. Also, you can do this in either single player or multiplayer. So if you want the challenge, you can do it yourself. And if you want to play with friends, hey, you know what? Go ahead, go in multiplayer, fight those bosses once again. Don't have to worry about all the little, mobs on the way. So that could be fun. Also, they are adding 3 separate difficulties. So, you can try it on a little bit easier or normal or hard. So if you want to try the bosses with a little extra challenge, you can. And if you want to take it a little bit easy and just kind of like, if you want to feel like you're the boss, you can do that too. They're also adding prisms, which is a new feature. Those were not in the game previously, but this is going to rebalance the fragment system. I am not entirely sure what the fragment system is. As I said, I have bought the game, but I have not played it yet. But this apparently is going to rebalance the fragment system, and this can be leveled up to grant additional stat bonuses. So you're going to be able to get these prisms and boost your stats a bit. So if you have not played, this is going to be the final DLC. So if you have not played Remnant 2 and you've been considering it, now would be a great time because, yeah, there's going to be plenty of people online, I'm sure, with the new DLC, and we're not going to be seeing any new ones. So if you get it now, you can get the full version, quote unquote, of the game. So definitely check it out. I've heard a lot of good things, and I've really been waiting to play this one. Again, I'm just waiting for friends. So yeah, definitely give it a look and check it out.
So now you need to spread the word to your friends so you can play this game now.
Yeah, but we're going to be doing Baldur's Gate and Space Marine 2 next, so I don't think we'll be getting to this one anytime soon.
Kriyan, any interest to do this with your brother?
And we played Remnant 1. My younger brother loved Remnant 1 a lot. It was decent, but I could see my older brother was not a huge fan of it. Like, he loves the survival sort of crafting RPGs, but the sort of Souls-like stuff, he finds it a bit too difficult and a bit of a waste of time, similar to sort of my aspect where I don't like to play games where it's too crazy difficult, like Wukong, for example. So Remnant 1 was hard, and I just looked at Steam player numbers. There's only like 1,800 people online for this. The last time it had like 4 digits, or I guess 5 digits of numbers, was like March of this year. That's definitely something to take into account. I think this game, there's too much other competition going on. So if you do get a DLC, you have to just be aware of player numbers, especially if you don't have anyone to play with and you're looking to play with random people. It might be difficult depending on your region.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. We'll finish today with my last story, and you will see I love Nintendo marketing team. They found a way. Okay, I'm gonna say this. This is all on my mind. I don't know if that was planned or not, but they rode the way of this content on the PS5 Pro being way too expensive and everything to drop their latest bundle offers. So I'm gonna take my notes just to make sure that I give you the right informations. So it's pretty fresh, right? It's on the Nintendo website. Just today they announced, right, that they're gonna drop 2 new bundles. So it's already available in October. You will be able to get, so these 2 bundles, right? One will be the OLED Switch and one will be the standard Switch, which should save you around $80 on the bundle that you can find right away, right? Right now on Amazon or something like this. So first bundle is the OLED model, which is coming along. So both bundles come along with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and a 12 months individual subscription to Nintendo Switch Online, which is worth in US about $80, right? So keep this into account. This most expensive one, this is a 64 gig model. So of course, first thing you do when you buy a Switch is to buy the little micro SD to increase the storage right away, that you have no choice. But this first bundle will be $350, which US. Which is not bad, right? Keep in mind that it includes $80 worth of game and subscription, so that's pretty good. And if you prefer if you don't, you're not really impressed by the OLED technology and everything, you can get the other bundle, which is a non-OLED version of the Switch, so the first bundle at $350 come with a white Joy-Con. The second one, which come at $300, $299, right? Yeah, $299, is a classic Switch with the red and blue Joy-Con. Come with about everything the same except you don't have an OLED screen, right? So that's a pretty good deal, you know, for next week. And if you don't want to, for next month, sorry, if you don't want to wait for November Black Friday, you can get this right now. So I really like the fact that they just waited for, you know, the Sony fanboys to be very disappointed with the price of the PS4 Pro. Just, of course, I'm not comparing the two systems, right? You can't compare the Switch with the Rolls-Royce of machines right now. Don't make me say what I didn't say. But I find the marketing fantastic because they are saying, hey, look, PS5 is too expensive. Look at our gear, not expensive. And compared to a PlayStation, we have plenty of good games coming up. We already have plenty of good games already. But coming up, we do have, and they put it on the website, we have very soon Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, the kind of retro Zelda with Zelda as the main character. We available on September 26th, by the way, it's in 10 days, so very excited about this one. We also have Super Mario Party Jamboree. I'm not sure if you should be proud of this one because the previous Mario Party 8 was really not good to my taste. So hopefully this Jamboree will be good. Coming available October 17. We have Mario and Luigi Brothership available November 7. So, you know, like every 15 days, right, you have a new game. And next year, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD available on January 16. So this is Nintendo making a push to grab as many people who can't afford a PS5 Pro back into their fold. So what do you think, guys? Do you think this was completely planned, waiting to see if Sony would make good publicity on the PS5 Pro? Or did they plan this for months and whatever the return, the comments on Sony's new gear would be? I'm sorry, it's very hard for me to talk right now. But in any case, do you think this was planned or not? What do you think?
I don't think it was planned. I think it was just pleasant timing on their part. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, how would they know for sure that Sony was going to be releasing it that day? The only way to know that would be to have an insider, you know, telling them like, because I mean, we had ideas, but I mean, how many times have people come out and said, "Oh, they're going to announce the Pro," and then they didn't, right? So the only way to be sure would have been to have insider knowledge. So I think this is just a happy coincidence for them, where they're like, "Hey, this works out really great. You know, we're getting ready for the holiday season, but you know what? Let's give people a little bit of a deal before the holiday season because that way people can start, you know, doing their Christmas shopping even earlier." So I would think that would have been probably more of their motivation, or just, you know, to get people, hey, let's get people to buy their Nintendo Switches now, and then in the holiday season they're going to buy a bunch of games, you know, so because they're already going to have this system ready. So that would be my assumption, and it just worked out for them.
What do you think, Rian? Happy coincidence?
And I think it's just planned, like thinking from like the marketing perspective, right? Like we will have a campaign planned out like 2 or 3 months in advance. We know what's going to happen for the next 3 months. I think it was just planned. I think it's taking into account the not uproar, but the issues people have been having with pricey goods, right? I've seen like a bunch of specials on CNBC and NBC on like Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal and stuff where, you know, McDonald's sales are down because people don't want to pay the high amount that fast food chains are charging these days, right? And so the price of goods is really important to people, which I sometimes forget living here in Taiwan. So it's, you know, and the Switch is the most value for money sort of device that you can get when it comes to gaming, right? Because again, it just comes to hardware, it comes to who Nintendo is, it comes to the sales and stuff. And they've planned this out so they have the devices in stock. You know, they've accounted for the crazy people who buy every single Switch, every special edition that comes out. There are all the people who are like, oh my God, my kids are now 11 or 12 and they got 100 on their Chinese test and now they're going to get a Switch or something like that. It's it's just the best sort of value for money when you take into account the cost of the device, the number of sales Nintendo has, and how often you can like keep your kids happy, keep yourself happy. In this case, that it's just the most affordable solution. As much as desktop PCs would be nice for kids, they're not affordable like the Switch is anyway. And the Switch has so many $1 and free-to-play games and stuff. All the Fortnites and things are on there, Warframes, etc. So it's just Nintendo being Nintendo.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, it could also have been planned for later this year, and because of the Sony Little Misadventure, maybe they just decided to do the campaign earlier. But thank you very much. That's our regular show finished for today, but stay, please, because this is now the fun part where we answer our Reddit questions. So did you guys already choose your questions? So I'm gonna go back to line and find them.
I don't even think I saw those.
Really? Oh.
What game was well received at first but was bashed by critics in highlights? Number 2, where did all the stealth go? And talks about stealth and gaming. Number 3, what happened to games like Prototype and Infamous? The last question was that.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like you told me you liked the Infamous games, right?
Infamous is great. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I saw that question. I'm like, oh, yep, that's going to be an added question.
I don't even know Infamous.
See, I know Infamous and I've never owned a PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the last Infamous was a release on the PS4. So, yeah. But, okay, fine, I'll answer this one. What happened to games like Prototype and Infamous? I don't think anything happened to them. I think that, you know, these games, I mean, games like, actually, let me start over. Okay, so what happened to games like Prototype and Infamous? I don't really think anything happened to them. I think, you know, free-to-play became really popular, and then Battle Royale became popular. I think there are still games that are like these. You know, I mean, it's basically just a third-person action game. Look at Spider-Man. It's not that different when you think about it. You know, you just got Spider-Man powers instead of these Infamous powers. So I think those games are still kind of popular. You probably don't have as much verticality in a lot of games now that you used to, like, you know, Stellar Blade or God of War. You know, you're Wukong, you're a lot more grounded. But I don't really think that they went anywhere. I think maybe they shifted a little bit. I think, you know, maybe people are thinking, oh, what, you know, these superhero games, these new superheroes that we haven't had before, you know, that they make up these powers. But I don't think the games went anywhere. I think they just maybe shifted a little bit. And, you know, because you're thinking, I want Infamous, I want Prototype, you're thinking, these games disappeared, but in reality, it's just the new ones you're not into. So it feels like they disappeared, but in reality, they're still here. I think they're still around.
Good one, fantastic. Krian, which question do you like the best?
This is all you, sir. So your choice.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm gonna go. It's kind of the same answer, strangely, than Adam, on where did all the stealth go. So while I'm thinking, oh, where did all the stealth go? I'm thinking Splinter Cell, I'm thinking Metal Gear, where all the game is stealth. And you don't have the option to fight, or very little. If you fight, that means you screwed up, right? So true, these games right now, they disappeared. You don't have mainly stealth game. If you think Horizon Zero Dawn, more Skyrim is a bit old, but stealth is a mechanic that you can use to achieve the game. But now studios want to give choice to gamers, right? It's really, really rare to find a game which gives you one type of gameplay and that's it. So that's basically where it is. Now you just need to give choice to gamers, otherwise you will suffer the backlash of saying this type of game is this thing only, this is not my thing, I'm not gonna buy. Give them several choices, say even if I don't really like this part of the game, I like this and this and this and this, so I can make the choice of how I play. And that's how I feel about the stealth. It's just, you know, one of these options now.
Perfect.
What about you on the last question?
We only need 2 videos, so thank you.
Okay, fair enough. So that means this is the end of the show. Guys, do you have any plans? Of course, Korean is in Korea next week, right? Are you part of the show next Tuesday?
I'm in Korea this week, so I'll come back on Sunday.
Okay, fair enough. Adam, what do you stream, or what are your plans for this week?
I mean, I can stream anything. I'm just currently, like I said before, I'm just running the clock until October on Zenless Zone Zero. I've finished the story. I'm just clearing some side stuff, leveling up, getting some characters up to par, because I only had 3 that I basically maxed out, and then I was like, yeah, maybe I should get a 4th one on there just to be safe. So I'm gonna do in that, but yeah, I mean, if people have suggestions and they're like, hey, here's this really short game that you can play, it's maybe something I could probably finish in 10 hours or so. I think I could finish that before October. So yeah, if people have suggestions, send them my way. I mean, I'll definitely look into it.
Absolutely. And for my part, I'm gonna stream Space Marine 2 in order to make a movie out of it. So that means full immersion, no camera, no comments, just purely the game. So if you want to see that, I will do that on Friday, starting as early as I can, because my kids, unfortunately, I didn't took that into account. They don't have school on Friday. So of course I choose the right day for that. Jesus. Anyway, I'm gonna do exactly what I said, so stream Space Marine 2. Just take into account that I'm gonna have to take breaks to feed the kids, because I'm still a father, right? And apart from that, I hope that you will enjoy that. And thank you very much for watching our show today. Again, thanks a lot for your support for these past few years, right? Please continue, like, share our video, comment as much as you can. If you disagree with what we say, and we like you disagreeing with what we say it in the comments. We like to debate with you. No need for violence. We are just talking. We are regular adults, right? We don't need to fight each other. We like to comment, and thank you very much. So have a good evening, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.